We're now going into our afternoon session, and we are looking at the topic of investment. It's certainly something that has been in the kind of public forum on social media. We've seen a lot of reports, a lot of data coming out showing that increased growth in investment into the African continent and its different startup ecosystems. And so this afternoon, we wanted to make sure we covered the breadth of the key areas of fundraising, key areas of growth, of interest. And the feedback we got from a lot of people speaking was there was kind of three kind of core topics I want to cover. That was about international investors coming to the continent. That was about what is happening within the angel ecosystem. So who are those first check writers? And then finally, looking more at access for funding for women. So we've got three fantastic panels lined up for you this afternoon. The first will be funding Africa globally, where we'll be looking at the different dynamics between international investors, local investors backing African talent. We're then going to have a panel on fostering the next generation of angel investors, where we're going to have one of the couple of the leading organizations helping to train and support angels on the continent, and one of the leading angel communities from off the continent is helping investors access opportunities. And I can testify, I'm a member of one of that community, and I've come through one of those programs as an angel myself. And then our final panel this afternoon, representation accessibility for women investment. So we're not just looking at how we get more capital into women-led businesses, but actually where do we need representation elsewhere in the ecosystem from women to ensure that we can create more great opportunities for women who are building great businesses. So looking at the investment side as well. But before we go into those panels, I'm really, really glad to be welcomed to stage Dario from Briter, who is one of the leaders with his organization, basically mapping the infrastructure, the data pool across Africa to tell us what's going on the ground for startups, technology and innovation investment. And he's going to join us now for the next kind of 10 minutes or so and give us some overview and insights into what he's been seeing with his organization. Dario, my friend, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anthony, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a big fan of everything you do. Actually, Anthony and I were probably cooking something in London that he'll discuss later on today. Mm-hmm. So for those who are not familiar with me and Briter, Briter is a market intelligence company that started out in London, which is active across 4 countries in Africa and covers the entirety of Africa and other underserved markets. The reason why I've been summoned here is to provide some sort of snapshot and set the stage for today's conversation. And so I'll be sharing my screen, and let me know if you guys see this, but you should be able to see this presentation. So very briefly, without delving too much into Briter, Briter is a market intelligence company focused on underserved markets. Our flagship product is the Briter Intelligence, which is the fastest growing intelligence platform across African emerging markets right now. We count thousands of users, and anyone from really academia to VCs and private equity and corporates that use our data for fast decision making across the continent. You might have come across some of the report. A lot of the report that we do are out there, and they are for free. So feel free to reach out to me and on our team. So why am I here? So Africa Tech and Investment Landscape in Perspective. So I wanted to kick off with something that we've been doing. Actually, Briter has been a partner of UK Nigeria Tech Hub for 2 years now. We launched a open access platform for Nigeria, which keeps growing because it's built off the back of the Briter Intelligence API. So here is a bit of a snapshot. What do we have here? This is a UK Nigeria summit. So we wanted to look at what the investment across Nigeria is. And Nigeria, to start with, basically occupies almost half of the funding that has gone into Africa over the past decade. And by this, I mean companies that operate across the country. They might be headquartered elsewhere, but they do have operation across the country. There have been $700 million alone being raised, least in disclosed deals since January this year, which is an extreme growth, but you are seeing from different sources. And it's probably Nigeria's growth, especially in fintech, is on everyone's mouth at the moment. What we count is almost 2,000 companies. There surely be more, but these are the ones that we recorded and have identified across the country. And then over 120 innovation hubs, which range from co-working space to accelerators and more traditional technology and innovation parks. Which ones are the states that are that are the most active and the one registering the most investment. We have a map here, and it's present on the platform, which you can access at no cost. I will also add some of the leading names, but I guess this is no news. I guess everyone connected here kind of knows all of this. I'll be delving a bit further into some of the big questions that are asked right now about funding. Everyone seems to be talking about this at the moment, so we try to put data, right, faces to names, and we decided to provide you with a elements for further discussion, right? So to start with, we've registered about $4 billion in disclosed funding raised since the beginning of the decade, so to 2000 to 2012. But who is getting money, right? So we try to slice the pie in a way that would provide some additional context and additional topic for conversation. So we decided to adjust the research by companies that have at least one Black co-founder, and we've seen that the number have gone down to basically 25%, reduced to basically 25% of the total. This is an infographic that we released a couple of weeks ago, and it sparked quite a lot of debate. I'd be happy to engage in further debate. A similar outcome when you filter by companies that have at least one female co-founder. And to clarify, this is total funding that has gone into these companies since these companies started raising funding. So it is not time bound to like 2021 or 2022. And then finally, if you actually start filtering by companies that have at least one co-founder, the Black co-founder and one female co-founder, then the number becomes very low. Happy to engage further. I guess these 10 minutes are not enough for this, but this wants to be a conversation starter. At the same time, we looked at what is the distribution of capital in general without adjusting by the gender or the ethnicity of a or the schooling of a founder. And we looked at basically there are about 3, 6, 10, 14, like 20 companies, 25 companies that occupy over 50% of total funding that has gone into Africa. This is not exactly total funding. This is the top 250 companies. So it doesn't equal exactly the total amount. But this is of March 2021 was the disclosed funding gone into these companies. And you can see that 25 of these companies occupy more than half of the total pie. And this means that effectively the distribution of capital across smaller companies is far tighter. Okay. Again, happy to engage on all of these. These are all conversation starters. We want to be kind of elements to poke you and to poke the conversation later on today. Again, this is something that we addressed earlier. I think something that is really interesting about Nigeria is that Nigeria has a very high percentage, despite the overall picture, of local and Black founders that have been able to raise funding over the past decade, right? And this is in striking contrast with countries such as South Africa and such as Kenya, which have been characterized by a different type of demographic group that has been able to attract funding. Again, please, very happy to provide some more insights into this. Most of these data are out there and can be sourced at no cost. So please let me know. And finally, not finally, but again, to further this debate about the top funded companies that count at least one Black co-founder, we try to look at to put faces to names here and try to look at who the CEOs of these companies are. Again, most of these companies are probably very familiar to you, but these, based on the data, are in the decreasing order from the most funded to, not to the least funded, but it's the top 50 CEO. These are the names. Again, this infographic is in the public space, so you can download it. You can ask me for a lot of people have asked for the image, because the sharing on WhatsApp has probably decreased the image of the final output. But please let me know. I can provide you with a high quality infographic. And then I would like to end on on an opportunity-driven note, this is an infographic from Briter's Africa Investment Report 2021. What we looked at were the companies by total funding to date. And the idea for this is to speak directly to founders and investors to look at what the opportunity for investment is, but also the opportunity for acquisition is, but also to kind of monitor the each kind of stage landscape. And so we looked at almost 1,000 companies by now, by March 2022, have raised at least 18 months. This might be eligible or seeking further investment and enter like the kind of seed Series A landscape. And then further down the line, you have over 300 companies that have raised between $500,000 and $5 million, which means this is kind of based on recent data, recent benchmarking, that seed Series A, like low Series A stage, that has been growing by way of lots of new funds entering the space and try to address this this kind of demographic group or this stage group. And then further down the line, you see like 225 or more companies that have raised. By now, it's more obviously because it's been already at the end of Q1 2022, but over 200 companies that have raised between and over $50 million, which means this is the realm of companies that are probably seeking acquisition, that are seeking to expand beyond Africa, that are seeking larger type of funding in the order of like 50 to $100 million. And we're seeing more and more like it. There's a very good journalist who called it the normalization of $100 million. I don't know, Alex, if you are connected today, but I really liked the way that the title that you use for that article. And yes, so here is just to finish the kind of this conversation around the topic of the gender gap, the gap in financing female entrepreneurs. This is a report that Briter produced with the World Bank. We interviewed over 200 founders active across Africa to get qualitative perspective and we tapped into thousands of companies and looked at their demographics, their founders, the schooling, the gender, the ethnicity, and so on, and whether they've been studying abroad to provide a snapshot of what the ecosystem and the support framework for female entrepreneurs is. Now, Anthony, I hope I haven't spoken too much. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat, but I'll be happy to provide any clarification later on.